Welcome to Tactical Talk. This is Zain Khan. Today the topic of our show is on an amazing book, Solving Statelessness in Myanmar. Today the guest of our show is the author of this book. He is an intellectual and also an author. He is the representative of the USGAM to Switzerland, Mehmet Şükrü Güzel. He was nominated for the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize. He was also nominated together with Mr. Leon K. Siu, an important political leader of Hawaii. He was also nominated the 2017 Peace Prize for solving the West Papua conflict in the United Nations system. Welcome to our show, Professor Mehmet Şükrü Güzel, for being on Tactical Talk. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zain Khan.
Professor Mehmet Şükrü Güzel, let's get to a philosophical and technical question. In your book, Solving Statelessness in Myanmar, what do you actually mean by statelessness?
Well, it's a really important part of the concept. Let's go like this. There is a concept of nationality and citizenship. In fact, there are new words like a state, and nationality and citizenships are used in the same manner for the last 300 years, beginning with the French Revolution. And when we are a national or citizenship of we have got the nationality or citizenship, you are a member of a community. When you are a member of a community, you have got rights, but you have got duties as well. But if you do not belong to any community in this world, you are nobody. I mean, you don't have any rights, economically and politically. You are nobody. So the definition of United Nations relating to the status of stateless persons define a stateless person. For the purpose of this convention, the term stateless means a person who is not considered national by any state under the operation of its law. This is the important part, because under its operational law means the protection of a person. If the person doesn't have a state, he cannot have a passport, he cannot have an identification card, he cannot have political and cultural rights. So what I mean is that when it is statelessness, in fact, in this world, meaning nobody in this world.
Professor Mehmet, let's get to a very important question. In your book, what do you highlight as the issues of Myanmar in the broader perspective?
Well, in the broader perspective, this is one of the reasons I am included in Myanmar issue. In fact, I work many problems like terrorism in Sri Lanka. But why I'm involved in the situation of Myanmar is that I'm mainly working on decolonization in different parts of the world, and my problem is the problem of decolonization. To follow up, okay? And why I am involved in this issue is for the ideals and the principles of decolonization and the United Nations. When we look at the broader sense, in today, so many of conflicts are originated from decolonization and colonial past of the world. So in the broader sense, what we look at that the statelessness position of in Myanmar, in fact, is a result of, unfortunately to say, but I am not here to attack for Myanmar government or Myanmar as a state, but in fact I am to protect Myanmar from the bad bureaucrats. And they are not educated well, but they think that they are clever. And they passed a law and make so many people statelessness using doctrine of state continuity. So when it is colonization and decolonization, they try to use state continuity theory of the Baltic states. But the state continuity theory of the Baltic states are not related with decolonization of Myanmar. And Myanmar, with the old name, when it is decolonized as Burma, accepted some responsibilities and under the international obligations. In a united Myanmar, in a united Burma, in the territorial integrity to give right to the minorities. And when we go to the ideals and principles of the United Nations on the decolonization and the theory leaving no one behind, these persons who are decolonized in Burma, that is today's Myanmar, got their citizenship, but they do not have another other choice of getting another nationality. That is as the number to 17 million people. And why I mean the bad bureaucrats of Myanmar is to protect Myanmar from his bad bureaucrats is that when they use the doctrine of state continuity that is used for Baltic states when they put out of nationality for the people who got their citizenship from after the Russian integration or invention during during the Second World War. They try to use the same logic. But their case is not the same in the intertemporal law because they were the members of League of Nations. And they have got recognized territorial integrity related with the Convention of the League of Nations. But this is not the same case for Burma and Myanmar. That is the Sud state. And when they try to use the same theory for Baltic states, the return of them is that they legitimize the principle of, they legitimize the right to separate the peoples like Rohingya or Kachins from Myanmar. They are acting, in fact, their territorial integrity with their law knowledge, and in fact, the bad bureaucrats can make the worst things for a state. And in this issue, the bureaucrats of Myanmar are the worst enemies of Myanmar, and they use a wrong knowledge, wrong doctrine. The wrong doctrine is doctrine of state continuity, and they try to put out of nationality for the people. Theory that the people before 1825 are the citizens of Myanmar. That is the time of colonization of Burma, Kingdom of Burma, by the England. But just 50 years ago, Kingdom of Burma conquered the land of Kingdom of Aragon. And if they say that we do not recognize our colonization, which at that time it was a legal right, but Baltic states' action, because they are in the Convention of League of Nations, is not the same, then they legitimize the right to conquest Kingdom of Aragon. If they use the doctrine of state continuity, they give the right of reforming of Kingdom of Aragon. In fact, here, I am not acting in my book and in my approach to Myanmar government. I am trying to protect government of Myanmar from their bad bureaucrats. And this is the main issue beginning. But the thing is that there should be the mechanism of follow-up cases of the decolonization with details and principles of United Nations Charter. I will come maybe in the next question. What is the origin and the responsibilities to the international community as a whole for the minorities citizenship rights of Myanmar? But I am trying to protect Myanmar from their own bad bureaucrats.
Professor Mehmet, if you can just give us a very brief summary. Obviously, the rest should be left on our viewers to go out and read your book and find out what's in it and what your arguments are. But if you can give us a very brief summary, what is the solution to this statelessness in Myanmar in your book?
Thank you very much, Mr. Zain. And maybe I will tell something, but I will ask for your help for the solution as well. You can do something very great with this program. And many thanks for your approach for this interview with you. So Myanmar is colonized country. In 1947, Myanmar got its independence, in fact, by New Attlee Agreement. This is the Myanmar Independence Treaty, but it is known as the New Attlee Agreement. In Article 3 of this Attlee Agreement, all the rights of being a citizenship given all the minorities of Burma at that time. And Article 14 of this treaty, it is written that all this, if there is a problem on the implementation of the New Attlee Agreement, the US will negotiate, and if they cannot solve the situation, they will go to the International Court of Justice. Now, let me tell you something. The theory of Myanmar government is that I am in Article 2.7 of the United Nations Charter, that is the state sovereignty, and to decide who are to be the citizen is my domestic jurisdiction. This is right for Europe or Latin America, or not Latin America, South America and Australia and New Zealand. But on the decolonization process, it is not like this. I will tell you how it works. Before the peace treaties, before the United Nations organization was founded, in the all peace treaties and in the customary international law, when there is a state succession, there is always some articles for the citizenship problem of the people, descent living in there. And this is as written in the New Atlee Agreement, but this is under the customary international law. And when we talk about the decolonization is defined as an arms responsibility. That's something interested for international community as a whole. If there's a problem of arms, that is not two states or related people, but the international community as a whole has an interest in it and has an interest giving to respond for the right of the people. This is in the hierarchy of the laws. And if a state has written of International Court of Justice on the whole decision in Palestine, acts against the arms actions of the responsibilities for international obligations, then there is an obligation not to recognize as lawful. So now I will come to the solution. The people are put out of nationality in 1982 by the new citizenship law of Myanmar, Article 3. But this is modification or termination, in fact, the termination of the rights of the minorities who are got their citizenship by New Atlee Agreement. The question is, does Myanmar has a jurisdiction and has a right to change this New Atlee Agreement, Article 3? And the answer is coming from the Permanent Court of International Justice on Tunis and Morocco nationality degree case in 1923. It is written that a state has his own domestic jurisdiction for the citizenship, subject to its international obligations. So, subject to international obligations are here codified in New Atlee Agreement, Article 3, and Myanmar become a member of United Nations with this citizenship law, subject to this citizenship law, and all the minorities of Myanmar, at that time Burma, were under protection of United Nations till 1948 that Myanmar got its independence and becoming a member of United Nations. If in 1947 Burma opposed for the membership of the minorities with their thesis today, things can be different, but they didn't oppose it. They come under an international obligation to accept them as a citizenship, but full citizenships of them. And there is the other responsibility for international community as a whole, not to accept their statelessness procedure of the not only Rohingya Muslims, but all the minorities. And also there is another important obligation for the Human Rights Council. Yesterday I gave a petition to the Human Rights Council subject to their resolution. And subject to their resolution, what is that? In many resolutions, Human Rights Council calls upon Myanmar government to review 1982 citizenship law. But calls upon is not a strong word. Human Rights Council as the main organ to protect the human rights in the world, coming from the responsibility from his mandate from the United Nations General Assembly, should not call upon the Myanmar government, should urge Myanmar government to change the citizenship law as it is written in the New Atlee Agreement, Article 3. And also, it is his obligation, if United Kingdom does not go to the International Court of Justice as written Article 14 of the New Atlee Agreement, to ask for General Assembly to take the situation to the International Court of Justice in two senses. One is demanding to international community not to recognize as lawful statelessness position of the all Myanmar minorities, that is including the Rohingya Muslims, and secondly, should ask the result or the consequences of statelessness position of the Myanmar minorities who lost their today's citizenship or state rights of being a citizen of Myanmar and act on behalf of the Myanmar Muslims. So the important thing I would like to say is, no Atlee Agreement is made by United Kingdom and at that time Burma. And primarily United Kingdom is responsible to go to International Court of Justice, but till today United Kingdom does not go to the International Court of Justice. And this means that United Kingdom did not fulfill the treaty obligations in good faith and pacta sunt servanda. So any citizen of United Kingdom, I mean, I know that there are so many Pakistan origin United Kingdom nationalists who are watching this program. I would like to ask by you and by your program to go to any court in the United Kingdom and open a court against the United Kingdom to say that United Kingdom has a responsibility under Nobel agreement and under responsibility of protecting the nationality rights of all minorities in Myanmar, but they do not fulfill it. And this is an international full act of United Kingdom, and I am to open a court against the United Kingdom because United Kingdom does not go to International Court of Justice. We are here talking about so many international wrongful acts. I mean, the first international wrongful act is Myanmar government, Article 3 of the Myanmar Citizenship Law 1982, and they are the bad bureaucrats. They are opening a Pandora box for the separation of their country in this sense. Second, international wrongful act of United Kingdom not to take the situation for the International Court of Justice. And the third international wrongful act is an international wrongful act of an international organization, that is the Human Rights Council. And the situation now, if it is not passing by the Security Council, it should pass by Human Rights Council to take the situation as a right, as an obligation to the International Court of Justice. And I would like to one more time make an announcement by your program that please, who has got a citizenship of United Kingdom, go to the court, open a court to the United Kingdom of not fulfilling the obligations coming to the agreement to go to the International Court of Justice. Maybe in our program we can solve really the citizenship of in Myanmar and about 17 million peoples.
Professor Mehmet, the Rohingya Muslims are being persecuted in Myanmar. Is this also because of the statelessness in Myanmar, as you just stated?
Thank you very much. This is a very important question. I am always trying to protect the states. If you do not protect the states, if you cannot protect the human rights in a state, you cannot get solution by attacking the states, and especially in the sovereignty of the rights of the countries. If, for example, tell you please two things. Myanmar is victim of its own bureaucrats. One, Myanmar is the victim of its own bureaucrats who prepared 1982 citizenship and put out of nationality so many people, so many minorities, including the Rohingya Muslims, and they are to separate the states because of the state continuity theory that they try to use as an intertemporal law, as the example of Baltic states is not working. Second, Myanmar is the victim of their bad general. It's funny, but if all the theories are accepted by me, by the international community as a whole, that 700,000 people had gone to Bangladesh and become refugees because of not even 100 terrorists or guerrillas, whatever you call to name, but I'm always against the using of guns in every conflict. Then this means that all the generals who are responsible under the operation are bad generals. Nobody can say that they are good generals, and they are the shame of the whole military history of the world. To fight against less than 100 guerrillas or terrorists, if 700,000 people had obliged to leave the country, that only means that they are bad generals. When they are retired, first, Myanmar government, Myanmar military should open an their investigation, internal investigation, because of their low capacity, low performance. But this is the subject to the good point of view to say that they do not have another thing in their mind. Sometimes also the states are the victims of their bureaucrats when the bureaucrats has a different roadmap in their minds. So a state president can oblige to obey the generals, and the generals has a different roadmap, and they want to use the situation to make ethnic cleansing, because they said that, hey, 2 generations ago, people make them stateless, and let me use this attack of terrorism and got to the final solution. There is no final solution in that issue, because now with my work, when the world got under the situation as an obligation not to recognize as lawful the stateless position of Myanmar, Myanmar will have this problem forever. And nobody has a place to go from Bangladesh, 700,000 people. They will be in the border. If you do not give hope for the people, for the future, bad things can happen. Now, Myanmar generals took all the hopes of the people from them, 700,000 people. They are responsible of the things that can happen, because 700,000 people are hopeless in Bangladesh, in refugee camps, and they are the responsible of the future actions of what is going on. And I do believe that nobody will let 700,000 people in a miserable position manner to stay like this. And the enemies of Myanmar will use these people. Even, let me tell you some gossipness from the Human Rights Council stations. The Tamil Tigers try to get involved in this issue. So Myanmar generals are creating their own enemies, and they can not solve this problem. The only solution to the Rohingya crisis is that Myanmar should go into action against their own generals. Two actions are needed. One, back bureaucrats who prepared 18.2 article. They are back bureaucrats. They are to separate their country. And the second is the bad generals. They make another racist organization and attempt. They are unsuccessful for less than 100 terrorists. They are bad generals, or they are bad manner generals, but they should be under investigation by Myanmar government. And they are creating an enemy, and they are trying to divide their own country. And if it is not the statelessness position, I don't think that in their bad manner they will go on a final solution in their bad manner for exodus of 700,000 Myanmar Rohingya Muslims. This is the worst scenario that can happen to a state, and the worst scenario for Myanmar is bad generals and bad bureaucrats.
Professor Mehmet, let's get to our last question. Tell our viewers a little more about your book, when you started to research on it, when you started to write your book, and tell our viewers to where to go out and buy your book.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zain. I'm working on decolonization in different parts of the world, and like Cyprus. Let me tell you another funny story. The legal thesis of Turkish government is wrong from 1964 for Cyprus, and they never take the case as a decolonization. So I'm interested in decolonization beginning with Cyprus. And if you want to see the worst written Declaration of Independence, you have to read the Northern Republic of Turkish Cyprus Independence Declaration. So I'm working for the independence, and my third book is on West Papua, on the follow-up mechanism of decolonization process. And as I heard about the Myanmar issue and Rohingya issue, as I am interested in decolonization, I read the procedure. I said that, oh, this is a problem of decolonization under the UN principles and ideals. So if there can be a solution, because in the world it's accepted as the domestic jurisdiction of the states for the citizenship, there is the only open point, or the black hole, is the decolonization process. So I found a new agreement by this way. This is how I am involved with this issue. As I am working on Sri Lanka on terrorism, and by chance I learned that, Tamil Tigers, they try to control and get into the relation of Rohingya Muslims. And we should be also very careful. Some bad manner people trying to use religion as an action against the Myanmar government and against Buddhism. And this is a very dangerous position to take the subject. So when we are talking about the positive peace, I'm also involved in that situation because of Myanmar. And it took about 1 year of my time, but during this time I wrote four academic articles, or 2 on terrorism on Sri Lanka, Cyprus issue, and Chagos Islands case. And my book is printed yesterday, and yesterday I also gave a petition to the Human Rights Council for their responsibility to take the case to the International Court of Justice. The book will be ready, I think, in 3 or 5 days' time in internet to be sold, and if you have got any friends, I will send you the PDF of the book. I send you the PDF of the book. You can send them. Anybody who asks from you, because I do not write this book to earn any money. It is just for the principles. Also, you can distribute it easily.
Thank you so much, Professor Mehmet Şükrü Güzel, for being on Tactical Talk. It was a pleasure having you.
Mr. Zain, it's a great pleasure for me to be in your program. And lastly, I would like to one more time to add that please, any United Kingdom citizen living in the United Kingdom, open a court against the United Kingdom not to fulfill their obligation as written in New Atlee Agreement to take the case to the International Court of Justice as a binding decision to take back 17 million minorities. And I do hope that maybe we can do something for the first time in the history of the world that by a program, a case to be taken to the International Court of Justice with your help, and maybe you are the centered person to solve the citizenship problem in Myanmar. Thank you, Mr. Zain, from all my heart.
This was Professor Mehmet Şükrü Güzel, an author and also an intellectual, discussing his latest book, Solving Statelessness in Myanmar. Until the next episode of Tactical Talk, this is Zain Khan. Take care and goodbye.